Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it so very much. Welcome, my name is Aiden. I am so happy that you are here today for another 4 for 4. I'm very excited about this because these are face palettes and it's featuring a face palette that took me a long time to actually bite the bullet and get, but I'm very excited that I finally got it. It is the Natasha Denona Love Glow Cheek Palette. I have 3 other palettes as well. I have the Fiona Stiles Multidimensional Color Palette. I've had this one for a little while, and then of course I have a couple Beccas. Sadly, I miss Becca already, but I have this Becca palette. This is the Prisky Glow Face Palette, and then I also had the Be a Light to Medium Face Palette. If this is your first time watching a 4 for 4, what I do is I take each one of these palettes, I wear it for 4 days, I come back, I report on it, I swatch it, I tell you how it performed on my skin, any problems that I had with it, with the color payoff, anything like that. Occasionally I do declutter palettes from these 4 for 4s. So if you are interested in seeing any other ones, there is going to be a link right up above so you can click on that and it'll be a whole playlist of 4 for 4 videos. So let's start. We're going to save the love for a little bit. I want to start with the Becca just so that they're spread out just a little bit. We're going to start with the Be a Light. This is the light to medium face palette. This came, how did I get this? I got this on a major sale and I can't remember if I got it like from a BoxyCharm pop-up. I might have. And that's what it looks like. So you have 2 like setting type powders, you have a blush, and you have a bronzer. So this one, there's a brightening powder and then there's a blurring powder. So this is the blurring, this is the brightening. Let me swatch them for you. All right, I'm not sure how much you're going to be able to see. They do kind of show up the blurring and the brightening, and then of course the blush and the bronzer have much better showing. But if I kind of blend them out just a little bit, you can see how they have a better effect. You can kind of see how there's a blurring and then there's also the brightening. So this palette was a little awkward for me. I don't use a lot of brightening or blurring powders. Like I usually just do a setting powder and then I'm done. Unless it's like a highlighter. I have a crazy highlighter on today. Spoiler alert, this one is going to be in my declutter when I get through my, there's going to be a giant highlighter declutter coming in the new year. So I don't use these 2 as much and I need to practice more with them. So I'm not going to actually judge it based on those 2 because those are just personally ones that I struggle with. The things that I struggled with this palette is how tiny the bronzer and the blush are and how close together they are. So it was really difficult to try to get a big fluffy brush in there, especially for the bronzer, to like apply to the skin. Once you figure out that, it does work really pretty. I think the blush is a really pretty, it's a very glowy blush. So if you do not like a glowy blush, this would have been a terrible palette for you. And then the bronzer is nice. I do like the bronzer. It's not my favorite Becca bronzer. I'm actually, the one I have is Bally Sands, I think. And that's what I have on, and I really love that one. This one's just a teeny bit darker, so it's a little harder for me because I'm so pale. I think if you're slightly darker than me, this would have been a really great palette. I know that some of these are not readily available, and the reason I do my 4 for 4 is so that I actually work through and try to see what I have in my collection and how I feel about it, and because it got to crisis mode a little while ago. So that's part of the reason why I do this. Also, these sometimes show up in not secondary stores, gray market stores like TJ Maxx, Ross, those type of things. So you can keep your eye out for it. They do they do occasionally pop up on like Mercari and stuff too. You can find new ones. So hopefully this also encourages you to like work through your collection and start using some of your stuff. This is another older palette. This is Fiona Stiles. This is the Multidimensional Color Palette. And I got this when they were at Ulta and they did like 50% off. You do have 3 blushes, you have a bronzer, and you have 2 highlighters. So it's kind of a mix of things. I don't remember if they did different shades or not because like the highlighters, this one is a little deep for me, but yeah, let me swatch it and tell you about it. So there they all are swatched. As I said, that second bronzer or highlight is a little deep for me. It's almost the same shade when it catches the light as that bronzer. So that one didn't work very well for me. I did really like the highlighter. I think it's a very pretty highlighter. This one worked much better for me than the other one. And I liked the bronzer too. It blended out really well and it looked nice on my skin. The blushes are a little dry, and I think that could be because this is an older palette. So keep that in mind. I did really enjoy them though. I like the colors. Like this one is just fun. It's not like a shade that you find a lot, I feel. This one is I'm kind of getting away from these. Used to be like my favorite shade, but now I'm like, I want a little bit more blush on my face. And I think it's just because I feel so pale most of the time, especially without lipstick. Like I'm not wearing lipstick a lot of the time, and because I'm wearing a mask, and blush just like brings some color to the face that I normally would rely on for lipsticks, and I would have my blush be lighter, but now I feel like it's kind of the opposite. So I wasn't crazy about that one, but I did like this one. I think it's a pretty pink shade as well. So yeah, I do like this palette. I like how it's laid out. It's very easy to go in and pull out different shades. They're big enough pans that you can kind of like work with a big brush or a tiny brush. I do like this palette. It's not my favorite though. Like I said, it's a little dry, so it did take a little bit of effort to have them blend out well. I don't know if you can see, like there's a little bit of chunkiness in the blushes, but they do blend out pretty well. You just have to work with them pretty quickly. So like that one blended out so nicely. Yeah, I do like this one. I think it's a nice one. If you find anything from Fiona Stiles, I think she had some really nice stuff. I liked her foundation too. And I was really sad when they left Ulta because I thought they had some nice stuff. All right, we're moving on to the Natasha Denona. I'm so excited about this one. I have the other one, the Blush in Bloom, and that was one of the first face palettes that I did in my 444. And this one, when it came out, I was so excited to get it because I loved the other one so much, and the colors in here are so spectacular. So in here you do get two cream, it's very shiny. You do get 2 powder products and 2 cream products. So I kind of used the 2 creams for blushes and then the 2 powders for highlighters. It says a super glow, a glow cream base, a diamond powder, and a glow impact powder. So there kind of is a variety of finishes in here. Let me swatch them so you get to see what I mean. All right, so that's what they all look like swatched. You do get a variety of shades in there and textures. Hopefully you can see the different textures going on there now. Some really interesting, pretty things going on. So this one is super glowy. That's that top swatch. It is like packs a massive punch. So if you want a glowy blush that's just going to really stand out and be absolutely crazy, that's what this one is. I liked the glow cream base better as a blush. I think it just worked a little bit better, looked more natural, and didn't feel as intense. Like this one is super intense. That was a issue that I found with it. I hope the lighting looks okay. I'm trying to experiment with what it looks like so that it doesn't do the weird flashy colors sometimes. As for the 2 highlighters, this one is my least favorite. I don't think it's a good formula at all. I did not enjoy it at all. So if we look at it closely, it's kind of like this weird, it does look pretty and stuff, but it's kind of chunky. It has like, it's going to leave like glitter on your face. It's not going to be a subtle kind of highlighter that just makes you look like you're glowing from within or anything like that. It was an intense one, and it also feels like it doesn't feel great. Like when you put your finger in it, you're like, am I even picking up anything? Because it's kind of dry and slightly chunky. I do like this bottom one. That is a really pretty, this is the Glow Impact Powder. I would purchase other products from Natasha Denona that have this in it because this was really pretty. I really liked how it worked. It was just a lovely highlighter. This looks much better, like as I'm just looking on like in the viewfinder, like I think it looks much better, but it wasn't my favorite. So this one was kind of like a 50-50 palette. Like 50% of it I really loved, but the other 50% I didn't love as much. And if I was comparing this one to the original one is hands down much better. This one is nice, but it's not nearly as good as the first one. All right, our last palette is the Prisky Glow face palette from Becca. They also did an eyeshadow palette, and I've gotten so many compliments when I wear that eyeshadow palette. So in here you have like a major glowy bronzer or blush, whatever you want to use with it. It's kind of a rusty shade. It's not your traditional type of bronzer. Then you have your more traditional bronzer. So this one's blush copper. It says it's a blush, but it's kind of dark. This is bronzed Bondi. This is opal, the highlighter, and then underneath you have icicle. Rose quartz is the pink one, and then you have winterberry as the blush. Oh my goodness. Let me swatch this for you. Okay, so that's what they all look like swatched. Absolutely gorgeous. So with this one, few notes. One, this bronze, copper bronze, not my favorite. That's that one right here in the middle. It's just not really a shade or a finish that I would reach for as a blush or as a bronzer. It just doesn't really work for my skin tone that much. The bronzer is absolutely wonderful. They had one of the best bronzer formulas ever. I really loved it. Like I said, I'm already wearing a different one of their bronzers. I love it. I love this blush. Oh, Snowberry blush. It is so beautiful. It's a little dark, yes, but it just blended out so beautifully and looked so nice. And the formula is so nice and smooth. Oh my gosh, I love it. And then I also love the highlighters. So we have 3 of them. The opal is slightly dark for my skin tone, but if I go in really lightly, I can make it and diffuse it. I can make it work. But the icicle and the rose quartz work so beautifully. I really love this palette. Okay, so if you were going to guess my ranking, let me know down below what you think I would rank these as, which I would put in 4th place, which I would put in 1st place, and let me know if you think I'm going to declutter any of them. I'll give you a second. All right, so in 4th place, we are going with the Becca Be a Light palette, not because it's a bad palette, just because I don't use that many setting and blurring powders. Like I just use a straight old. Plus, it's super hard to open. I don't know why this one is so hard to open, and you have to stick your nail in there to open it, which is kind of a pain. Anyway, this one is in 4th place because the 2 powders are not ones that I use on a regular basis. I'm going to try to concentrate on using them in the new year and getting used to doing those type of powders. But yeah, so this one is in 4th place. I would like to eventually pan this one because it's something I feel like I can use and it's practical, but it's just not one that I really love and enjoy and want to keep around forever. In 3rd place, I'm putting the Fiona Stiles palette. This is the Multidimensional color palette. I do like this one. I think it is a nice palette. It's just not quite, I don't love it as much as the other 2. So I do like this one. I think the highlighters are really nice. I like the blushes and the bronzer well enough. I think they're just good standard ones. It's nothing uber exciting, which is why it is in 3rd place. In 2nd place, we're going to put the Natasha Denona Love Palette. When I was going into this, I was like, oh yeah, that's going to be number 1. And then I thought, it really isn't, because I struggle with the 2 corners, this one and this one. I don't love them when I put them on, so they're not my favorites. I do love the other 2, and I can make it work, but it does take more effort. So that's why it's going to be in 2nd place instead of in 1st place. Which means in 1st place is the Prisky Glow palette from Becca. I love this palette. This has been a favorite palette of mine since it came out a few years ago. I just really love it. Now that I am more into bronzer, I'm going to really enjoy using this bronzer, and the highlights are just really nice. This is one that I kind of want to cherish and like use sparingly and just enjoy it when I use it and not try to like rush through it or pan it or anything. So yes, that is in 1st place. Did my ranking surprise you? Would you have put them in a different order? Have you tried any of these palettes? Let me know all of those details down below. If you haven't already subscribed, please do consider subscribing, and don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. It really does help out small content creators, and I can't wait to talk to you next time. Bye.